What happens if you leak this song? In a Singaporean Madonna fan site back in January of 1998? Well, you simply trigger the birth of the DMCA. Hi, I'm Sergio, and this is the story of how Madonna and her hackers changed the internet forever. Well, sort of. Queen of Pop Madonna was no stranger to the internet back in the 90s.
Do you cruise the internet and see what they're saying out there?
I haven't got time to cruise the internet. What are they saying?
After all, she was one of the very few artists to produce their own digital audio ad at the time when the internet wasn't even a household necessity yet. She and her team decided to promote her upcoming single Secret from her upcoming album Bedtime Stories with a 60-second digital audio ad that can be heard if you had America Online running as your browser back in 1994. The single Secret can be downloaded from Warner Brothers' website. Yes, Madonna didn't have her own website until the early 2000s. She had her career profile under the Warner Brothers website. From there, you can get the latest news about Madonna and download her single Secret for free. In this audio ad, Madonna calls out online imposters pretending to be me.
Don't believe any of those online imposters pretending to be me. Ain't nothing like the real thing.
We've discovered imposters online posing as Mike D of the Beastie Boys, Chris Novoselic of Nirvana, our own Kurt Loder, and Madonna.
My screen name is Madonna. People are always sending me mail thinking that I'm the real Madonna. Most of the letters I don't respond to because they're really insane.
Being one of the biggest artists of the 90s, it was only a matter of time that the Material Girl would be the next artist to fall victim to music leaks. And that time indeed came in January of 1998. Originally scheduled to be released on Valentine's Day, her single Frozen leaked on January 23 just after being recorded off a Singaporean radio station and shared in a Singaporean Madonna fan site. Knowing it was ethically wrong, her fans believed that this would simply generate interest and demand of Madonna.
Why is that?
Leak or not, demand for Madonna was indeed correct. Frozen was a worldwide hit, peaking at #1 in several countries and #2 in the Billboard 100. Because of this will be the very first time the Recording Industry Association of America's anti-piracy unit was ordered to delete the download links of the song, triggering the very first digital hunt of music piracy to date. Apart from several other leaks that happened to various recording artists at that time, Madonna's news about Frozen being leaked online had the biggest impact on US media that caused Bill Clinton's administration to rush the Digital Millennium Copyright Act through Congress in October of 1998. You would better know this now as the dreaded DMCA, laying out much stricter ramifications for people who were caught file sharing or creating file sharing technology. This sets the stage for decades of lawsuits, copyright claims, and the never-ending copyright notices you get out of YouTube in the past decade. Hey guys, Sergio here in the editing room. I feel like I skimmed through the importance of the DMCA and Madonna, so I want to spend just a few more minutes to further explain what happened during this era. For those of you who don't know, the DMCA is a US copyright law that criminalizes production and dissemination of copyrighted products, technology, and services online. In short, it's the act that combats digital piracy or copyright infringement.
What'd I do? You know it's illegal, download copyrighted music. I'm taking you in.
Pay for music, never legally download.
The DMCA was initially passed back in December of 1996 by the World Intellectual Property Organization, which is the agency that protects intellectual property or IPs. For instance, Mickey Mouse is an intellectual property of the Walt Disney Company. Madonna's iconic look of breathless mahogany from the 1990 film Dick Tracy at that time, I believe, is an intellectual property of the Walt Disney Studios. That's why they were able to use her character along with all other colorful characters from the film to be featured in Disney parks and so forth. Even though the law was passed back in 1996, it was in this limbo state since the internet as a medium for piracy was seen as inferior at that time, with just less than 15% of the general public using it daily. If you lived back in those days, you'd mostly have access to the internet in schools or offices. In fact, here in Canada, only 7% of households had internet back in 1996, so it wasn't much of a household necessity yet compared to where we are right now. It wasn't until the virality of Madonna's song that leaked online at the beginning of 1998 that the US government finally saw digital piracy's potential to be an economic downturn in the music industry that led them to finally signing the law at the end of that year. And the rest, as they say now, is history. So back to the video. With the DMCA working in the background, this didn't stop hackers from going after the top artists of the 90s for more music leaks.
Madonna, you hadn't been here in a while. Special crew going.
After all, we're just about to enter the era of file sharing programs. Enter the Napster era.
The first digital audio sharing application that, at its peak, had 80 million registered users.
By the year 2000, Madonna headlines once again with her upcoming album titled Music. And sure enough, hackers went to work.
Also called Music, and will go something like this. Last night, Madonna's manager issued the following statement. The music was stolen and was not intended for release for several months. It is still a work in progress. Ultimately, those sites that offer to download Madonna's music are violating her rights as an artist. The video for Music was shot in Los Angeles a couple of weeks ago by RIAA Light director Jonas Åkerlund.
Despite Music leaking months in advance before the album and single release, Music went on to chart at #1 in the Billboard 100 and album charts in its first week of release. Somehow, this is the silver lining when it comes down to digital piracy. It acts like a double-edged sword for artists while creating buzz for an upcoming album. Radiohead's Kid A album had the same effect. It charted at #1 after the group decided not to do any traditional promotion for the album, but instead shared the whole album on selected sites, which led to a wider distribution the group did not anticipate when the entire album was rerouted to Napster.
You didn't have a single, you didn't have a video, you had the blips, and yet it goes to #1 on the Billboard. I mean, you are charting a different route, and you know, you don't have to tour months ad nauseum, and you can still...
It's pretty pointless as well.
Flash forward to 2003, while getting ready to promote her next studio album, American Life, Madonna and her team took note of the current state of album releases. You see, it's becoming more common around this time for most artists to get their music leaked just weeks before the album launch. This, to some, was seen as reckless PR that artists took advantage of to generate buzz about their album. Madonna and her team decided to troll hackers by releasing a decoy album just months before American Life's planned launch. The decoy album was uploaded to file-sharing networks such as Kazaa and Napster in MP3 formats. It consisted of the same number of tracks, track links, and titles, but had Madonna saying this line on all tracks when played.
What the f*** do you think you're doing?
And then followed up by complete silence. Hackers took Madonna's trolling methods personally and decided to respond. First, they were able to get a hold of the actual tracks and remixes from American Life and leak them through sharing platforms. And second, by April 3, 2003, they took over Madonna's website with a design overhaul displaying some of the actual remixes of American Life and bedtime stories? With a message that reads, "This is what the fuck I think I'm doing." Plus a random proposal to Morgan Webb, one of the correspondents of Tech TV's The Screensavers.
You know, I went to UC Berkeley, which means I am all about good deals in education.
She's mostly known later to host G4 Tech TV's X-Play, which I'll never forget and forgive her and Adam Sessler for giving Xenosaga 3 a 3.
She smells good.
Out of 5.
If you know Morgan Webb, you can probably guess what kind of hacker this is. Below the pre-jack proposal reads, brought to you by the editor of Frack magazine. Madonna's team worked overnight to get the site back to its normal state, whilst dispelling rumors of this whole commotion being a publicity stunt, as interception was indeed real. Frack magazine representative would later confirm that they had nothing to do with the site hack and the hacker behind it. Amidst all the drama, the album ranked #1 in the US charts, selling over 200,000 copies in its first week. If you know Madonna, sales for this album were incomparable to her previous entries. Music and Ray of Light sold over 400,000 in its first week separately. American Life's lack of sale was mainly due to the controversy surrounding the album's visual representation and promotion on print and video. Later that same year, Apple guru Steve Jobs introduced the updates to its revolutionary media player iTunes with additional features of accessing the iTunes Store, in which as a whole emulates the same structure of file-sharing platforms such as Napster when it came to accessing and streaming music in applications.
We're going to fight illegal downloading by competing with it. You know, we're not going to sue it, we're not going to pretend it doesn't exist, we're going to compete with it.
This set a new standard in the music industry as iTunes' overnight success proved that distribution of digital music can be circumvented through a legal system. When digital sales started to account in the Billboard charts at the beginning of January 2005, Madonna went to announce her entire back catalog to be available in iTunes in November of 2004 through a video call with Steve Jobs. This led to having her as one of the artists to top the digital sales chart of 2005, with her single Hung Up breaking records by December of that year. With the rise of streaming platforms over the years, setting a new demand for efficient streaming services such as Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube, it revolutionized the way people consume and produce music. Platform partnerships were soon implemented that allowed creators and artists to get paid for monetized content. This set a new standard in the music industry while helping to combat piracy to a certain extent, if not fully resolving it.
Wow! Downloading music for free is awesome! Freeze FBI!
And that's where we are at this point. Though leaks still do happen, they are just treated or seen differently than how it was before. It is still fully illegal and you can get in jail for it.
It's very confusing behavior.
Yeah.
Hackers, you know.
Because they arrested one of them, didn't they?
Yes.
Have you seen him?
I haven't.
Oh, okay.
Should I?
He's here. No, he's not.
No, he's in jail.
Oh, was he actually in jail?
I think he might be.
Oh,
I think
wow.
what he's done is a criminal offense.
Yeah, no, it's bad. I'm not encouraging it.
Okay.